We believe slavery ended centuries ago. We tell ourselves we are free, autonomous, in control of our lives. Yet, in the silence of the night, when the noise of society fades, a haunting truth emerges. Modern slavery still exists. Not in chains of iron, but in chains of the mind. Not in whips and shackles, but in invisible forces that dictate our thoughts, our desires, and our choices. The new masters do not wear crowns. They do not stand on thrones. They exist in systems, in structures, in the unseen machinery of power that has learned to manipulate us without resistance. And the tragedy is, most people have accepted this slavery as freedom. Look at how we live. From the moment we wake, our minds are captured. We grab our phones, not out of choice, but out of compulsion. The endless scroll, the flashing notifications, the dopamine hits, these are not tools we control. They control us. Technology, designed to serve us, has become the master of our attention. The mind, once free to wander, to create, to dream, is now shackled to algorithms that know us better than we know ourselves. This is the first chain. The slavery of attention. Whoever controls attention controls behavior. Whoever controls behavior controls destiny. And in today's world, corporations and governments compete for the most precious resource on earth. Not oil, not gold, not land, but your focus. Because if they own your attention, they own your life. But attention is only one layer. The second chain is the slavery of desire. Most people believe their desires are their own. They believe they want what they want because it is natural. But if you trace your desires back to their roots, you will find manipulation at every turn. Why do you crave certain brands, certain lifestyles, certain images of success? Why do you chase careers, possessions, or appearances that ultimately leave you empty? Desire has been engineered. From birth, advertising, culture, and media tell us what beauty looks like, what success feels like, what happiness should be. We are told which bodies are worthy, which objects will fulfill us, which identities to aspire to, and we consume endlessly, always searching, never satisfied, because true satisfaction cannot be sold, but dissatisfaction can. And so long as you remain dissatisfied, you will keep buying, keep chasing, keep obeying. The third chain is the slavery of fear. Fear has always been the favorite tool of those in power. In ancient times, kings ruled by fear of punishment. Today, governments and institutions use fear more subtly, but more effectively. Fear of poverty, fear of failure, fear of being excluded, fear of being cancelled, fear of being forgotten. Every fear keeps you in line, keeps you obedient, keeps you from questioning the system. When people are afraid, they trade freedom for safety. They surrender their voices, their autonomy, their truth, just to feel protected. And those who rule understand this well. A fearful population is easy to control. But perhaps the deepest chain is the slavery of the self. Because the greatest prison is not outside you, but inside your own mind. We have been conditioned to doubt ourselves, to silence our inner voice, to distrust our instincts. We measure our worth by numbers, likes, followers, salaries, possessions. We believe our value depends on external validation. This is the most dangerous form of slavery when you do not need a master because you have become your own. You whip yourself with comparison, you shackle yourself with insecurity, you silence yourself with shame. You no longer need external chains, because the prison is built within, and you carry it everywhere you go. So how do we break free? First, you must see the chains. Most people will never free themselves because they never realize they are enslaved. Awareness is the first act of rebellion. When you notice how your attention is manipulated, how your desires are manufactured, how your fears are weaponized, how your self is caged, you begin to awaken. Second, you must reclaim your mind. This means creating silence, turning off the endless noise, sitting in discomfort, facing your thoughts without distraction. Meditation, solitude, journaling, these are not luxuries. They are weapons of freedom, because the more you can sit with yourself, the less the world can control you. Third, you must redefine desire. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? Not what society told me to want, not what advertising sold me, not what culture expects, but what does my soul crave when everything external is stripped away? Real desire comes not from consumption but from creation, from building, expressing, connecting, loving. When you align your desires with your inner truth, you are no longer a slave to manufactured cravings. Fourth, you must confront fear. Fear will never disappear, but it can be faced. The act of courage is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to obey it. Every time you act despite fear, the chains weaken. Fear only rules when you bow before it, but when you stand tall, when you refuse to let fear dictate your choices, you reclaim your power. Finally, you must free yourself from yourself. This is the hardest step. It means dismantling the false identity built by society, by family, by culture, by ego. It means letting go of the mask, the performance, the constant need to prove yourself. True freedom is not found in becoming someone else. It is found in returning to who you truly are beneath it all. The path of freedom is not easy. Most will never walk it. It requires sacrifice, the sacrifice of illusions, of comfort, of belonging. It requires solitude, honesty, and the courage to face pain. But for those who dare, the reward is priceless. Because once you are free inside, no one can enslave you outside. Think of the greatest minds, the strongest spirits, the true revolutionaries. They were not free because society gave them freedom. They were free because they refused to bow to the invisible chains that bind most people. They understood that real liberation begins in the mind, and once the mind is liberated, the body, the soul, and the world follow. Now ask yourself, whose chains are you wearing? Are you enslaved to your phone, to the opinions of others, to fear of failure, to the endless chase for more? Or are you ready to break free? You have a choice. You can remain comfortable in the illusion of freedom, living as a slave in disguise, or you can step into the unknown, shatter the chains, and reclaim your life. Freedom is terrifying. It demands responsibility. It demands that you stop blaming systems, parents, governments, and culture, and begin shaping your own destiny. It is easier to remain a slave, to let the world think for you, choose for you, live for you, but deep down, you know that is not life. That is survival. That is existence. And you were not born merely to exist. You were born to live, to feel, to create, to love, to suffer and to rise, to break and to heal, to become fully human. And that journey cannot begin until the chains fall away. Stop pretending you are free when you are not. Stop numbing yourself with distractions. Stop running from the silence. Look at the chains, feel them, name them, and then begin the slow, painful but glorious work of breaking them. Because the greatest tragedy is not being enslaved. The greatest tragedy is never realizing you were. And now, I leave you with this challenge. Tonight, turn off every screen. Sit in silence. Take a notebook and write down the 3 chains that bind you most. Name them honestly, and then ask yourself, am I brave enough to break them? Your freedom begins the moment you stop lying to yourself.